It's always a big week when you get a chance to play Iowa and got our preparation started today with the guys and looking forward to a good week of practice and preparation and playing opportunity to go down and play against a really good Iowa football team and certainly have always had a lot of respect for Coach Ferentz and their program and I think their team's playing really well right now, and we're excited about the opportunity to play them, and starts with having a good week this week.
All right, we'll start with Jeff Patrikas.
Yeah, Paul, now that you've had some time to look at the tape, how did Tanner do at center, the good and the not so good? And on the back end of that, do you know at this point, will a kid like Cormac be available this week, or is it too early to tell?
Yeah, answering the second part, Cormac's progressing. Probably too early, to tell, but it's early in the week as well. But he has been progressing, and I thought Tanner, I think he got thrown in right away, and did a nice job. Really liked the way that he played, and there's a few snaps. Shotgun snaps that were off a little bit, and Graham did a nice job of handling those. But as far as calls and whatnot, had a one or two probably would like back, but nothing that was pretty neat. Is the guys around him also helped, right? He can start it, and typically the center does, but. Everyone was on the same page, and if you got that, then you're gonna be all right. And I thought he competed, and I thought he did some good things in his actual play. So a lot to build on, certainly.
Paul, Graham mentioned that Indiana may have had your guys' signals or calls at some point in the game. Do you remember, at what point in the game that became clear that they had the calls, and how did you guys adjust to that?
Well, yeah, if you notice, a lot of the game, Graham was coming over the sideline, getting the play. We didn't signal many plays in, and so that was one way that we were going to handle it, and so that you couldn't steal a signal if there wasn't a signal.
Paul, hoping you can clear up some confusion for us. On one of the telecasts this season, I'm not sure which one, I believe they made reference to Joe calling plays. And I don't know if that's a sometimes thing, an all the time thing, but if he does, I think that would certainly be a change from how you typically operated. Can you clear that up? Are you calling the plays? Is it a combo platter?
Yeah, but Joe's been calling them this year, and been able to try to do what I can, and helps set it up. The staff is setting it up, and then Joe's been calling it this year.
Go to Steve.
I was just wondering, with the signing period approaching in the next couple weeks, with all the hindrances y'all have during the pandemic, with high school football being curtailed, no visits, etc., what's been the biggest challenge of all these obstacles y'all have had to face in terms of recruiting and evaluating talent under this situation?
I think the way that the recruiting is going right now, a lot of it's an earlier process than it was certainly 5-10 years ago. And we're fortunate that a large chunk of the kids that we're recruiting for this class had been able to be on campus and been able to be around. I think the challenge is that, one of the things that's best part of recruiting is continuing to get to know them. And certainly you can do it on calls and Zoom calls and, finding ways for them to connect to each other. But, there is something very real. And I think it's one of our strengths is the in-person, being around all the people in the program, particularly our players, and that's, but everyone's rolled with it, and I think that's one thing I like about the kids that we're recruiting for this class is that they're smart and they understand what we're in, and the valuations, there's teams that are playing, and so as you continue to go through the recruiting, you can still get your film evaluations. We weren't able to get into the high schools and maybe see or verify size, but you can still do a lot, and it's different, but doesn't mean that you can't still effectively go recruit. It's certainly different. Make no mistake about it, and we look forward to when we can get back on the road and we can have prospects come and visit. But we're all dealing with it, and most of all, I think the young men, you feel bad for them, in the sense that can be a good time and a valuable part of their experience, getting on campus and seeing and being around different people, meeting professors and meeting a lot of the people that, make this place special. And so try to do the best you can and look forward to the day where we can get back in person.
Paul, when you went back and watched the 2 drives on tape that ended up with field goals instead of touchdowns in the red zone, did you still feel like it was execution that stuck out as far as, was it execution that stuck out as far as something that wasn't clicking, or did you feel like you guys kind of didn't have the matchup that you wanted with the play call versus what the defense did?
No, I mean, I think that it's, there's a few times in a game where you can maybe wire in and get exactly what you want. I think that, and that's where, and people probably don't, it sounds very coach speak-ish, but like when you talk about details of every play, that is a huge part of the game. And when you're on, especially when you play against another good opponent, and that the little small details can be what makes the difference. And, when I say that, we all have to take ownership, right? I mean, never been and never will be one. That was a perfect call and we didn't execute it. That's not what I mean by execution, but do guys have a chance? And if we're doing what we can, then you hopefully increase those chances. And if the ball's going where it should be, if the linemen are hitting their target the way they should be, all on, or if you're on an edge, and I'm not referring to what happened in those plays, but I think that, I thought that it came down to, you play the game and specifically on those and we didn't make the play in those situations and they did.
Paul, Jalen has carried the ball exactly 15 times in each of the 3 games he's played. Is that a coincidence, or do you guys have him on a carry count? And if it is a carry count, what goes into that decision? And do you anticipate it increasing, over these last few games?
No, that's not. It happened to be that way. There's no pitch counts for baseball.
George?
Hey, Paul, how do you move past these past 2 games now and prepare for an Iowa team that is rolling with 5 straight wins? What's the message to the guys now as you prepare for a rivalry game on the road and also try to put these 2 losses behind you?
Well, I think, every time you go out and play, the goal is to win. And, then you play that game and then, whether you win or lose, you go forward and you brought up a lot of reasons in your question and we've got, we understand what this game, just the opportunity to play Iowa means and playing against a very good football team. Every game is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a physical game. It's, we've talked all season, about being grateful for the opportunity to play. And we have that. And we have the opportunity to play against a really good team. And that there's a lot of motivation there. And, you know, you got to take the lessons that you learn from all the games, you know, that we've played before. And how do you build on the things you've done well? How do you get better at the things that you can get better at? So it's, you know, I know nowadays there's a lot of talk about, you know, what this means, that means, the end of the year, and I've always maintained, and I still believe that, you know, the best part of a week is playing the game, and you play the game one play at a time. And, you know, we love football season, and the best part of the season is playing each week, one game at a time. And so we got that opportunity, and it's our, you know, the challenge, and what guys will do is work this week and prepare as well as they can. And so we're ready to give ourselves the best chance against a good Iowa football team.
Jesse?
Paul, how much consideration do you give to potentially playing Jack in some capacity just now that he's healthy and available, and with the offense struggling a bit either for his leadership or to give Graham a break?
Yeah, I think the number one factor in all of this has been kind of where's Jack along with his progression. And, you know, the last week we made some strides with it. And then, you know, as we go through this week and see where he's at, you know, the thing I appreciate about really Jack and all the quarterbacks in that room, you can have honest conversations. And so I think we got to see how this week goes for Jack first and foremost, you know, and I think regardless of what's happening, you know, that's one huge part of it. And then you kind of, you make decisions off of following that, but that's first and foremost, you know, is he ready to play, you know, and confident to where you can trust it and where you can go out and play. Do not want someone coming off of injury, thinking at all about their injury. And I think last week we made some progress there.
Jim?
Paul, Iowa's gotten better as the season's gone along, and I don't know if it's coincidence, but they have a first-year quarterback who seems to be probably getting more comfortable too. What are your impressions of Petrus and the job he's done so far?
Yeah, you know, from just watching tape, you know, certainly very talented, and I think you're accurate in what you watch the early games and you kind of see where how he's developed and grown, and I think he's a really talented and obviously, you know, playing good football and you know, I think fits what they want to do and has the ability to throw a lot of different throws, and I think he's playing well and has certainly improved as the season's gone on.
Well, would you maybe characterize some of the struggles that you had on offense last couple of weeks as growing pains of working in a lot of new younger guys and just those guys learning how to play against some really good tough defenses?
Yeah, I think it ends up being a lot of that, you know, playing against good defenses. You know, anytime you turn the ball over, that makes it a little bit harder. You know, we've got, you know, there's some positions that there are some you know, guys getting a lot of snaps, or, you know, we're leaning on them that you have to, you know, there's some learning going on while we're playing. And with all that being said, though, I think it does come down to, you know, guys who still have opportunities, and that shouldn't be, and don't want to have any type of an excuse. You know, we've got good players, and we got to do a good job of coaching and helping them and find ways that we can complement, you know, our team to give the team a chance to win.
We'll wrap things up with one more from Jeff.
Yeah, Paul, I think the reporters who have known you for a long time always got the impression you enjoyed kind of the chess match of play calling. Did you give that up to focus on other things, or if you don't mind sharing how that decision played out?
I think it's a number of different factors that go into it. There was a lot of time spent in the off season as we're getting ready for it, where you weren't able to do all the, in my opinion, necessary homework and preparation. You know, you could where your time needed to be spent, and also that combined with the trust and confidence that I have in Joe and the offensive staff, and certainly can felt like I still am in a position where I can truly help and assist. But I thought that you know there comes a time when you've got to be a little bit careful of what is your job, and it still starts with the whole team and the program, and didn't want to compromise anything there and shortchange another. And I think those are some of the thoughts that went into it. That kind of led us, and then there's, like I said, there's a confidence too, and certainly knowing it's different because people are different, but it's I think it's I do feel Joe he's really smart and has a good sense of things, and so I thought it was you can't make that decision if you didn't feel like there was someone that could do it.